U.S. Farm Report weather is brought to you by H&S Manufacturing. H&S heavy-duty manure spreaders feature a 2-speed apron drive system and fiberglass reinforced plywood sides to provide for easy cleaning and minimal freeze-up. Find out more about the H&S spreaders at the H&S website.
Well, the West Coast finally getting some much-needed moisture in the form of snow that we're talking about in the Sierras. Meteorologist Andrew Whitmer joins us with the forecast. Andrew, even more mountain snow is on the way this weekend.
And yeah, they are getting a lot of snow out across parts of the Sierra Mountains and Intermountain West as well. And in some of these locations, especially the Sierra Mountains, they're going to be measuring snowfall throughout this weekend and the beginning portion of next week. Total accumulations into multiple feet. It could be looking at 2 to 4 feet of snow, maybe even some localized higher amounts. And this is going to end up being good news for these drought-stricken areas. Looking at the new drought monitor that was just released on December 8th. And again, there is still a lot of red out across the western and central half of the country. And of course, where that snowpack is currently likely to grow, that is good news out there for parts of the west coast. Meanwhile, the big difference here, notice Tennessee here. If you remember last week, we were into a moderate, even parts into a severe drought across parts of Tennessee. Much better improvement there with now seeing a lot of that severe drought kind of being eroded and just kind of left to just still dry, but not as severe conditions as we were in last week. Walking through what we're watching for on this week, we're going to be watching a deep trough developing out across the Pacific Northwest that will continue to grip parts of the western coast, and eventually that will begin to work its way across the plain states. And once that does happen, that's going to spark a cold front with a deepening low pressure system, and that's going to spawn the potential here for a major winter storm potential for parts of the northern prairie as well as parts of the upper portion of the Midwest. And meanwhile, down across the deep south, the Dixie Alley likely is going to have a severe weather outbreak with damaging wind as well as a tornado outbreak as well with that strong cold front. Then as we head on into Friday to wrap up this coming week, high pressure begins to build off to our west. That'll help kind of kick this low pressure system and this cold front off the eastern coast here, and it'll continue to bring rain chances for parts of the Carolinas all the way up across the New England coastline. And taking a look at the jet map here, you'll see that deep trough kind of developing nicely across the country here, bringing with it chances for snow, mainly for the western half of the U.S. here. And of course, that will also increase the potential there for some more active weather down across the parts of the deep south as we go throughout the first few days of this upcoming week. Temperatures this week where that trough continues to develop, it'll be cold off to our west. Meanwhile, ahead of that trough, above average temperatures can be expected across the Great Lakes as well as across the East Coast and deep south. But once we head on into next week, I really think this cold is going to linger on here as we go throughout mid-December, with much of the lower 48 here kind of painted with at times of below average temperatures. And looking at precipitation for this upcoming week, again, where that low pressure system does track across the northern prairie and upper portions of the Midwest, that's where above average precipitation can be expected.
Thanks, Andrew. Well, was it updates to the U.S. crop or South America that was the bigger surprise in USDA's December report? Joe Vaclavic joins us to talk markets next.